It's so awkward filming sometimes. Like, who are you talking to? Nobody. Myself. That's what I'm talking to, okay? Hello my dears and welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Pamela and I put out beauty related videos when I can. So excited for today's video because I recently purchased all 4 of the new Eyeshadow Quads from Shopmissa. Oh, if you are unfamiliar with Shopmissa, it is the most glorious $1 website I think out there, period. They pretty much sell anything and everything for $1, and when I mean anything and everything, I really do mean anything and everything. I think they even sell underwear, so. But if you know me and you know my channel, my favorite thing about Shopmissa is definitely the AOA Studio line. I think that their in-house makeup brand is absolutely phenomenal for so many reasons. And I've been bragging about this particular brand for, I want to say a few years now, right? It's been a few years that I've been bragging, and anytime they release something new that kind of like catches my attention, I pretty much automatically buy it because I mean, it's $1. Right. Now, these little quads are the exception. They are $1.55, but hear me out. If you're unfamiliar with the additional money that they cost, the extra 55 cents actually gets donated to animal charities, and you just gotta love that. Like, who else does that? Anytime they sell one of these little things, like, you get it for $1 and then you're like donating basically 55 cents to a good cause. Like, that's really good. Like, I don't know of any other companies, and I know some companies donate every now and then or annually or whatever, but this is like an ongoing thing, and this isn't just the only product. I have multiple products and a few different charities, if I'm not mistaken, that they wholeheartedly support pretty much all year round and all the time. So I highly recommend them regardless, just because of the fact that they're always just giving back to the community. So win-win in that situation. I always say it's a win-win. But like all of my other reviews, I always have pros and cons to everything that I like to review because I'm a little bit nitpicky, and even though these are only $1.55, there are still opinions to be said and heard if you're looking for my opinion. I'm gonna try my best to include timestamps in the description box, so if you're just looking for application or swatches and comparisons, I will have that all down below for you, if that's what you're here for. So the first thing I want to talk about is my pros and cons. I do have not a long list, but I do have some things I want to say about these little guys. So they came out with 4 different quads. Each one of them is said to be like a neutral eyeshadow look, which I think they definitely did that. I'm going to also insert some close-up footage of, like, you know, the quads and stuff like that, and as well as some pictures, but I definitely think that every single one of them has a neutral look. Some do lean a little bit more on the warmer side than they do the cool side, and I will say, I guess this is getting into my pros and cons list. One of the cons I have to say is, out of the 4 palettes, 3 of them have that one existing bone colored shade, which is, if you see in this palette, it's like this shade right here, this, like, you know, basic bone color. At first I was kind of like, oh, like ticked off about it a little bit, just because I thought, do I really need 3 more eyeshadow palettes with that bone color in it? But at the same time, I thought it's a very common shade. I pretty much always use a bone color to sort of lightly set my eyeshadow base, and I liked all 3 like variations of this shade. There is one in particular, it's in this quad here, which is Eden, that the bone color has like a little bit more of a pinkish undertone, and then the other 2, which is Vendela and Zinnia, it has more of that yellow undertone. That is one of the cons that I had, is that out of the 4 palettes, 3 of them are going to include that bone colored shade. And like I said, at first I was a little bit annoyed by it, but at the same time I thought, well, it's kind of like the first shade I always hit pan on in most of my palettes, and okay, fine, I could use 3, you know? So I got over it, but that's definitely my first con or whatever. Second thing I wanted to say is there isn't a huge, like, I don't want to say a huge color difference in story, but they all kind of seem to have this like orangey like base to them, or orangey undertone, or a warm undertone, with the exception of one. Eden is the only one, and let me see if I can open this with one hand. Eden is the only one that doesn't really have too much orange, except for this like fiery coppery. I guess copper is kind of like an orangey red, but it doesn't have this like orangey matte that the other three have. Like you could see that in Brandy, you have this dark matte shade here that's a lot orange, like a really orange color. And then in this one here, which is Vendela, you have this orangey peachy shade here. And of course they're both so different, but again, I'm seeing orange throughout most of these palettes, and I'm not a huge fan of the shade orange. I did obviously use it today on my eyes, but it's not my favorite color. And of course in this last one, which is Zinnia, again, you see that orange color in this quad. So there's a lot of orange, and there is that bone color in, you know, 3 out of 4 of these palettes. And then my last con, oh, I guess that's not so bad, 3 cons. My last con is in all 4 of these palettes, there really isn't much of a depth shade. Like there isn't much of a deep colored rich shade to help you build up depth in like the outer corner, or even just to, you know, smudge out on the lower lash line to give you that sultry, delicious, like smoky eye look that some of us like. They don't really have that correlating in any of these palettes. They're all very light shades, and the only dark shades are really just the satin sparkly metallic shade. Not a lot of us really like to build up the depth in our, you know, outer corner crease with metallic shades. I myself am a matte lover, and I love matte shades all throughout. I would prefer to have a deeper matte, you know, shade in at least one of these quads to help build up the rest of them. So hopefully in the future, if they do release more, I hope they expand their color variations, because I love the neutral as like what is that, as like a first launch or whatever, but I wouldn't mind this in multiple colors, because if there were like blues, reds, pinks, oranges, yellows, and so on and so forth, like they're only $1.55, and I would totally experiment with color if I just was paying very little money for eyeshadow palettes, if that makes sense. Other than that, let's get into the pros. The pros, there's a decent amount of pros. First, number 1 is that they have one palette exclusively all matte. I love mattes. I think mattes are like, they're so great to just create an entire look, and I feel like it's always flattering. It always makes it look like you're put together but not trying so hard, you know, that no makeup look. I love that. So I love that this particular quad Zinnia is an all matte palette, and it has like all 4 of the most commonly used shades for an all matte palette. So I definitely like the variations of shades that they've included in every single one of these. I'm not mad that I have all 4, and I definitely will get use out of all 4 of them. The packaging is 10 out of 10. I think the packaging is adorable. It's like a light pink on the back with the nice little see-through like window. This is like a trend right now. I feel like everybody is doing this. Elf has it, ColourPop has it, so many other brands out there have this like, you know, cute little quads going on here. I also want to say that the formula on these is actually pretty damn good. Considering they're $1.55, the formula is really good. It's blendable, it's easy to work with. They are a little bit on the crumbly side because they're very soft, like super duper soft buttery eyeshadows. The formula kind of reminds me of ColourPop in a way, where, you know, some of the mattes are like rich in pigment, but if you like, you know, swatch them, they kind of crumble a little bit on your fingers, or you could see the crumbling on the pans. That kind of happens with these. That doesn't bother me. I don't care if I get fallout. I don't care if if my eyeshadows are crumbly or like dusty or whatever. I just care that they blend, and these blend out like a dream. Like they really, really blend out nicely. The shimmers are also really, really, really pretty. Like they're very, very soft press, and they are also a little bit on the crumbly side, but they apply on the eyes. I mean, I'm only wearing 2 of the like foiled metallic satin shades or whatever you want to call them. I'm not a pro, but you know, the sparkly shades. I have 2 on my eyelids right now, and it looks so dimensional and almost duochrome that it looks like I'm wearing 3 or 4 colors, but I honestly am only wearing 2. So the formula is pretty good in my opinion, considering again they're only $1.55. My favorite one is definitely the Brandy one. I think that this is one of the most beautiful little quads I think I own. I absolutely love this shade, this like really pretty pink gold duochrome, like a duochrome in a $1.55 palette. Like, yeah, okay, this is the one I'm gonna recommend the most because it's the most beautiful out of all of them in my opinion. Also get these really beautiful blush tones in here that just works so pretty. This is the first one that I tried, and I know I'm gonna get so much use out of it. The only oddball in here is this like orange color. I wish this would have been more of like a plummy purpley brown. That would have been perfection, but other than that, I love this one. This is definitely my favorite quad. And the other one I thoroughly enjoy, and that's because I'm a matte lover, is Zinnia. I definitely love the fact that they're all matte shades. This will be like an everyday go-to palette for me because this would be super easy to stick in my little makeup bag here and just use my highlighter as like an inner corner highlight and done. Like my look is complete. So I definitely love those 2. If anything, I definitely recommend, if you're going to shop on Shopmissa, pick up these 2 because these 2 are just perfection. So those are my pros and cons for these palettes, and like I said, hopefully in the future they launch so many other colors because I feel like they have a pretty good formula going on here, and I would love to pick up like a purple one or a blue one, or you know, experiment with some color in this formulas because yeah, 10 out of 10 on those. I'm gonna go ahead and insert my swatches here, so I'll just insert that clip and play a little bit of music or something. So there you go.
There goes a sight from my soul. There goes a sight, there goes a sight. Now there goes a sight from my soul. There goes a sight from my soul.
Now I'm gonna go ahead and show you this look that I created using this palette. So yeah, enjoy that tidbit. That's gonna be a voiceover. Okay. Okay, so I figured I'd start with the AOA Studio Soft Base in the shade Nude. This is actually a pretty decent little eye base. It has a nice little pigment going on there, and it blends out really, really well. It's not overly sticky, but it's not overly dry. So overall, pretty much like it. Then I'm going to go in with Zinnia, and I'm going to start with that really nice bone-colored shade, and I'm just applying that all over that sticky base. I wanted a really nice, smooth blend for today's look. Using that same palette, I just went into the shade Next Door, and here I'm showing you just how powdery these little eyeshadows are. However, I think I remember hearing Patrick Tall once say that the powdery or the more fallout you get from an eyeshadow, the better the blend. So again, I'm not upset that they're overly powdery or overly chunky because, as you could see, I literally applied it to the eyelid and it's almost like they blend themselves. Now they are a little bit on the sheer side, so you do have to build some of these up. Then I went in with the Brandy quad and I took that beautiful, beautiful like rosy shade, and I decided to place this on the outer corner and bring that a little bit into the crease. Again, they are very sheer in color, however, they build up really, really nicely. And again, they blend out so well. You just can't be mad at these $1.55 eyeshadows because they really do the job really well. I took that same really pretty rosy shade and I smudged that on the lower lash line as well. Still using the palette Brandy, I took the deepest color in this palette, and as you can see, although it's rich in pigment and it does blend like a dream, like I've been bragging about this entire damn time, it's still not the darkest shade, and I feel like not very many people would go in with an orange color like this to deepen their outer corners, but maybe later on they'll, you know, change that, or they'll make more quads with better color variations. You never know. Other than that, I still think that this color does look really, really pretty, and I actually don't mind this orangey color. Then I went into Eden and I used that beautiful copper color, and I was shocked. This was the first time I had used this particular quad, and I really, really liked this color. Very, very pretty. Applies really, really nicely with the finger. Definitely will use that color in the future. Then I went in with Vendela and I tried to apply this shade with this particular Shopmissa brush. It's like a flat brush and it kind of failed me. It was very crumbly. I even sprayed the brush, and these shades just work so much better with your finger. I did end up getting a little bit of fallout, but fallout again doesn't bother me. Next time I'll just do my eyeshadow before I do my base. I went back in with that beautiful rusty color to sort of just blend those two shades, and that's how I got that beautiful gradient look. Went back into Eden and used that really, really nice, pretty, sparkly shade for the inner corner. And then I applied my favorite mascara, which happens to be the AOA Studio Fat Lash Mascara. Highly recommend. It's the best $1 mascara I've ever used so far. And here's a close-up of the finished look. Overall, again, really digging these eyeshadows. I love the little quads. Quads are just my favorite, and I'm glad I picked them all up. Yeah. And last but not least, I wanted to do one comparison on my favorite eyeshadow quads of all time, and that is, give me 1 second, the e.l.f. bite-size eyeshadow palettes. I love these so much. I feel like everybody who's making beauty content on the internet has tried these, and they will agree that they love them just as much. I have 3 of these in my collection. Pumpkin Pie is just the one that I kind of grabbed, but I love using these because quads are just so simple. Like, you just take a quad, you look at it for like 2 seconds, you pick out whatever shades, and the best thing about quads is they're all kind of like cohesive, or they all have like a really nice color story, so you could use 1, 2, 3, all 4, whatever you want to create a whole look, or just even one eyeshadow. Like, that's the best part about quads, girl. I wanted to compare them to the e.l.f. ones. I feel like as far as formula goes, they're on par with one another. The e.l.f. formula is not as crumbly as the you know, Shopmissa or the AOA Studio formula. I definitely think that these are less crumbly. However, they both blend equally good, so there isn't any like big, like significant difference in that. One is $3. If you know, you know. The e.l.f. bite size are $3. They are also very accessible. You can find this at any drugstore or like Target or Ulta and whatnot. So I will say that's kind of a good thing for e.l.f. But if you're shopping on Shopmissa and you want to pick some up, then, you know, you could always just do that. But, you know, accessibility is big for me because I like being able to just go to the store and buy them if I wanted to. Which you can't do that with these, but you can't do that with this. The biggest thing that I found, which I thought was kind of interesting, I don't know if you do, but I'm gonna share it with you anyway, is that you get more product in the Shopmissa one. In the Shopmissa, the net weight is 6 grams or 0.2 ounces. And then in the e.l.f. ones, you get 3.5 grams or 0.12 ounces. So you're getting more product in these little ones. I don't know I don't know how they did that. And it's funny because the pan sizes on the e.l.f. one look so much bigger than the Shopmissa one, so I thought that was interesting. And I don't know if you want to know that, but like I said, how you do. And that's all I've got for you guys today. So hopefully you enjoyed my little review on these super duper cute AOA Studio Paw Paw Eyeshadow Quads. Overall, I'm very impressed. I thought the quality was pretty good considering, I keep saying it, I sound like a broken record, considering they're under $2. Like, you can't really go wrong, and I definitely recommend picking up all of them, whatever. I mean, they're not very expensive, but if you were curious as to how they performed, well, now you've watched the entirety of this video and you now know how good they actually really are. The rest of my face is also the AOA Studio line. I figured since I was using these quads, I would apply a full face of AOA Studio, and I used their brushes too because their brushes are fantastic. I honestly cannot recommend this stuff enough. So yeah, if you like this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and spread my love for makeup, and I will see you guys in my next video. Okay. Bye-bye.